you're facing a medical emergency. Time is critical. Every minute matters. And today, time is on your side. Because Northcrest Medical Center is ready 24/7. We have the experience and expertise to act decisively and the leading edge technology crucial for life-saving surgery, letting you get back to the life you love. Northcrest Medical Center, bringing exceptional care to our community.
It seems your position is relatively simple. You haven't had a rate increase for 12 years. And it's more expensive to run a fire department than it was 12 years ago, and you've asked for a rate increase.
Right, and we've studied the numbers, the data over the past few years to truly see what it costs to operate the fire department in Robertson County or Coopertown. And those numbers are what we went to the city with. The $185,000 is truly what it cost Pleasant View Fire Department to operate in the city of Coopertown. They're not inflated numbers, they're not fluff, they're not something that we were shooting for the moon and going to settle for a star. These numbers are true, actual numbers. And you're right, we haven't had an increase in 12 years. We've just been working through it the best we could. We are ending a 3-year contract now. That's why it's on the table today, is because July 1 ends the 3-year current contract we've got, and that's why we're in negotiations now.
What kind of changes have occurred in the fire industry in the last 3 years that have caused costs to go up for you?
Well, just some of the federal requirements that we have now. Today, to put a firefighter on the street, it costs us a lot more money than it did 12 years ago. The federal requirements for their turnout gear, for their training, for the physical evaluations that they have to have. So truly from application to the first time they get to ride in a fire truck, it costs the fire department around $10,000 to train them, equip them, outfit them, and get them where they can actually make emergency calls. And that's something that's went up drastically in the last 12 years. Just take, for example, the physical. One of the big things now, and it goes across with EMS and police and all, but they're trying to reduce the firefighter fatalities, and they're doing that with physical requirements. So we have to send every firefighter to, it's called a NFPA 1582 physical, which costs us about $500 per person. Again, those are requirements that we have to follow that we didn't have to follow 12 years ago. So there's just the cost of doing business has substantially went up over the past 12 years.
Tell me a little bit about how you determine what the cost is and how many firefighters and or fire stations are required to properly defend Coopertown from fire.
Right. And we operate under a standard. It's called NFPA, the National Fire Protection Agency. That's who sets our standards. So they tell us on every fire we have to have so many firefighters, trained firefighters in the first 6 minutes, 12 minutes, things like that. So that's a standard that we have to follow. And the same thing with the trainings. We have to have them to a state certified level of training before we can get credit on that. As far as the number of stations, the ISO, the Insurance Service Organization, dictates that in order for a house to get credit for the ISO, they have to be within 5 road miles of a fire station, a physical fire station. So in order to do that, the town of Coopertown has to have 2 physical fire stations because of the geographical layout of the city. It's bigger than what one fire station can handle. So whether Pleasant View does it or Coopertown starts their own or they contract with another local department, you're going to have 2 physical locations in order to cover the entire city. Again, standards set by somebody other than us.
In order to maintain that ISO rating.
Right, for the entire city. Now you could maintain for part of the city with one station, the people that are within the 5-mile area of this station, you could get that rating for, but the people out toward the interstate, Jack Teasley Road, some of those places that are over 5 miles from here would not get that protection. And currently they get that protection from our Station 1, which is located in the city of Pleasant View. It covers the 5-mile radius down close to the I-24 interchange.
And now one point that the mayor of Coopertown brings up is he says he would have liked a little more advanced warning. You allowed the contract, or it's winding out, and you've indicated that you'd like a substantial increase. You agree with that? Would it have been possible to alert him a little earlier?
Probably so. I mean, we probably could have alerted him earlier. Typically, when the budget work start is when we notified him. I mean, I think the first meeting with him, or the first talks with him, were in January of this year. To request a meeting, and that's about when, normally that's when the budget talks start at the first of the year, so it usually gives you 5 or 6 months to deal with that. We may have could have come to him a little bit sooner. I'll give him that. Maybe that's a fault on our end, but we were working with the city of Pleasant View, the county of Cheatham County. We have a lot. What's probably atypical about us is most fire chiefs answer to one mayor or one council. I answer to 4. We have contracts with 4 different governments. Some people don't like that, but it does allow us to operate. It allows us to share services across city limits, across county lines, and share those costs. I mean, it truly does. It allows us to operate, even though we're asking for a substantial increase, it allows us to operate cheaper in Coopertown just because we share the services with Robertson and Pleasant View and all of that than it would for everybody to build a wall around their city and say, I'll start 4 different fire departments. That would be duplication of services and would be bad for the citizen for sure. So,
how would you like to move forward from here?
Well, we're in negotiations, and my board of directors is who I work for. They're an elected board of the citizens of our fire districts, and we're working with Coopertown. We've negotiated. It's been a work in progress. We're presenting them with a contract now. I think that we'll go before them Tuesday night with some of the numbers that were given to us by an official of Coopertown. One of the aldermen came to us and said that he thinks these are going to be workable numbers. So even though it's a cut on our end that we're going to have to take, but I do think it's workable for us. It gets the Pleasant View Fire Department to the overall end goal. It just doesn't get us there as quick, but it's still, I think it's a workable plan for us and the city. So, and we've told the mayor and the fire committee all through this that as long as we're making forward progress, then we would do anything we could do to make it workable. We've protected the city of Coopertown since 1970, a long time before the city was a city. It was incorporated in #96. So we have no intent or will or want to get out of the city. It's just like anything else. You have to run it like a business, and you have to pay for it. I can't run it in the deficit on this end. So.
Tell me about the adjustments that you've made in this new contract proposal. You've told me as we were chatting before that it's going to cost you about $30,000. Tell me about the adjustments that you've made.
Well, the current contract we offered Coopertown was $185,000, broke out in annual incremental raises over the next 3 years. The mayor come back and the town offered us a 1-year contract at $100,000. My board of directors rejected that contract due to inconsistencies with every other government that we work for. It just doesn't line up. So, working with one of their aldermen, he came to us with some other numbers that said, all right, maybe we can make a 3-year contract work. We'll just lower the first and second year numbers in order to give us time to figure out what we're going to do, get the tax base up, or if they want to work through a fire tax, or if the sales tax increases or whatever, they wanted to lower the front end numbers. So we agreed to that. And actually put the numbers that they gave us into the contract. So the current contract that we just presented them that will go before, I guess, council on Tuesday night is the numbers that actually came from the town of Coopertown that our board has already agreed to work under. So even though it's about a $30,000 loss on our end overall when you add the numbers up, our board has agreed to do that just because, again, I think the city's trying to work towards something. We're trying to get to that end goal for everybody to be on the right page. So,
can you tell me what those numbers are?
Yes, the first year.
What were they and what are they?
Yeah, the first year, the original contract proposal for the first year was about $122,000, $121 and some change, so about $122,000. The proposed numbers from Coopertown brought that number down to $108,630. So the year number 1 would be 108. The second year on the original proposal was 154, around that 153 and some change, and we've dropped that to 137,091, 137,091, and then the last year goes up to that 185,000. So it gets us to where we wanted to be in the 2019 budget. It lowers the front end, so it really gives them 2 years to try to come up with some other funding source because I guess the first year they proposed to give us $100,000, so it's really an $8,000 increase over what their original proposal. So I think it's a workable plan on their end and our end. So I guess we'll see Tuesday night how that shakes out. But.
Would you agree that it's probably in the best interests of the citizens of Coopertown from an ISO rating perspective to retain what they have now? In other words, just continue to use your services as opposed to starting their own? What would be involved in starting their own fire department? What would they be facing financially?
Well, ISO is a huge part on the homeowner, because that's what your homeowner's insurance rates are determined. And depending on the underwriter, you could save with a class 4, what we have now, going from a 4 to a 10 or a 12. Some insurances recognize a 12. You could go, I mean, you could be saving, I don't know, 150 or 500, or it just depending on your carrier and your house. We actually opened a station in Cheatham County, a new station, and we had one of their homeowners come up and tell us that they were saving almost $2,000 a year now just because of the new fire station opened within 5 miles of their house. So all that's dependent on your carrier. There is a savings, an obvious savings between a 4 and a class 10. But if Coopertown chose to go with somebody else, or chose to start their own fire department, one of the things that ISO says is you have to be in operation for a year to provide that data. You have to provide training and response times, equipment. You have to provide all of the working data to those guys, but they want you to be in business for a year before they take that. I mean, and obviously you have to be in business to accrue that data. So potentially, if Coopertown decided to do something on their own and didn't renew a contract, you could be looking, it would be at least a year. And obviously, I mean, time they did all the gradings and got your grading back, I would say you'd be looking at 18 months or 2 years before the town would be officially issued an ISO rating.
Apparently, it's not that unusual for a community not to have its own fire station. You've already indicated that you're providing services for multiple cities. Do all the cities that you perform fire service for, you are their only fire protection? Is that?
Yes, and that's not uncommon around here. That you contract with another fire service. I guess it's not really a municipal fire service. Robertson County does it with a lot of their municipal fire services. I mean, Ridgetop, Greenbrier, all of those services provide county services through a contract, just like we do in Robertson County and in Coopertown too. So it makes sense in the long run, just like I was saying a while ago, because you're able to share the services. You're able to cross those jurisdictional boundaries and truly save the money. It's tough when you're dealing with politics or that end of it, because they're like, I want it in my city and nobody else's city. So we run into that, but it's an educational piece. It says, look, if we've got a fire truck sitting on the line, it can cover both cities, or it can cover a city and a county. It can do more than one entity and save money across the board.
Mayor Childs, one of his arguments is that he wants to pull it in-house so he has control over it. And so what would you say to that? I would be, if that's what he decides or the city decides, I'd be willing to help them. I mean, we'd do anything we could to help them to get there. I don't think it's the best option for the citizen or the city, actually, because, I mean, this is my life. I've been doing it for 30 years now. I know what it costs, and I know what it would cost for the city to start from scratch and either buy a fire station or build a fire station and buy fire trucks and things like that. And it's just not the most economical way to do business. Now, if he just wants control, then that's what you would get. I mean, that would be the only benefit, is you could control what we do and how we do business and things like that. But that would be to me, that would be the only benefit for the city in starting their own fire service. So you're saying control is not necessarily a guarantee of lowered fees?
No, I mean, I think, again, if you start your own fire department here in the city, it's going to cost a lot more money than what we're requesting to be paid today. Again, you're going to have 2 physical locations, 2 fire trucks, things like that. We just replaced the fire truck in this station with about a $250,000 fire truck. That's what's sitting out here, and we had to do that because this is, out of all of our fire stations, this is about the second busiest station that we've got. And the truck that was in here was about 27 years old. So it was costing us more on the maintenance side of it. Every time it would go out and break or tear up, then we were having to replace or fix that. So it was beneficial for us to go ahead and put an engine up here that could make those runs and not cost us money. But you figure $90,000 a year, and that pays for your fuel, your electric, your insurances, things like that. There's no money in there to buy a $250,000 fire truck, period. So those are some of the issues I mean, that's the reason for these increased costs, is we have to build that stuff in. I know we haven't been very public about this, but just to let the citizen know that we are working with the mayor and the fire committee in Coopertown. And in my opinion, it's went very well. I mean, the mayor has done, I think, has done his due diligence. He's looked at the numbers. He's met with CTAS and MTAS. He's talked to other fire departments. I think as a mayor, I would have done the same thing. I do think that was the right way to go about it. But on our end, we have actual numbers, and we know what it costs to do business. And not that we're being sticklers on the numbers. It's just we're not in the political games, and these are true numbers. So there's not a lot of negotiation on getting to that number. Now, again, like I said, we're working on how to get there, and hopefully we can do that to make it a little more digestible for the city of Coopertown and work on our end too. So again, I think we're on the right track. I think before it's over with, we'll all be on the same page, and we'll have something workable that will benefit everybody.
How important is your health to you? If it is important, then you'll want to stop by our Serenity Shop in downtown Springfield. They're right across from the Robertson County Courthouse, and they have all kinds of products and services for both you and your pet. Organic supplements, great coffee, all-natural pet food and pet treats, essential oils, and more. See a link to their Facebook page below this video.